It's been over a year since Microsoft made Microsoft 365 Copilot generally available to small businesses. But over a year on, what features are people actually using? Has it all just been a gimmick? No, but businesses that I'm talking to have really struggled with Copilot and AI adoption in general. And there's generally two reasons for that. One of those reasons is because they didn't have a long-term AI adoption strategy. Another reason is because a lot of people are just trying to force AI into their business just to tick a box. There's a lot of CTOs that are just rolling out things like Microsoft Copilot and saying, hey CEO, I've done my job. We are now officially AI powered. I'll take my bonus, please. You need to lead with the requirements. Why are you trying to implement AI? What processes do you need to make more efficient? How is AI actually going to help your business? To be honest, with Microsoft 365 Copilot, a lot of the features just won't be used by everybody. There's only actually a few features that I use myself on a daily basis. But there is one big Microsoft 365 Copilot feature that everyone is using. I just want to quickly talk about some of the features that I use regularly and a lot of other businesses use regularly before we talk about the one that everybody is using. Now, you've probably all seen plenty of times the fact that you can generate content in Microsoft Word using Microsoft 365 Copilot. But in reality, what sort of things am I actually generating using Copilot? So just as an example, I'm going to ask Copilot to create me a SharePoint guide for my clients. Okay, so that is now generating my guide, and I've asked it to give me different options because there are different ways of working with SharePoint. I've been really specific about what I've asked for. I've told it that this should be for end users. So we click on this. This is what I've put in. I've mentioned that this is for end users to give it the context. I've mentioned that my goal is that I would like an end user guide. I haven't really specified a specific source. And my expectations that I've set are avoid jargon and explain options for using the web interface, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. I've been quite clear with what I want here. So that has produced a pretty useful guide. Now, my team are probably going to come in here, tinker with this, review it. Does it make sense? Add some screenshots and things to make it better. But it's got us started and it's saved an hour. So that's a real world example of how we would use Microsoft Copilot to help us. Now, if I click on Copilot here, in terms of the summarize this document or summarize this email feature, a number of law firms that I talk to are making use of this. It's not really something that I make use of myself because I don't really get sent long documents or long emails that I'm not just going to read myself. But I've spoken to a lot of law firms where lawyers say they get sent huge packs of information, sometimes 100 pages long, and it's not necessarily important that they pick up on every detail in that document. So they use AI all the time to summarize it for them. So I can come in here, I can click Copilot button and click summarize this document. So all stuff we've seen before, but I'm just trying to give you some real world examples of how people are using it today. So what about Microsoft PowerPoint? Is anyone actually using Copilot for Microsoft PowerPoint? And let me know in the comments your experience. So again, you've probably seen this functionality before, but let's talk about what people are actually using this for. So we can create a PowerPoint presentation from a file. So if I've got a Word document with a bunch of points that I want to turn into a PowerPoint, I can do that. Or I can just type here and ask Copilot to create me a PowerPoint presentation on a specific topic. Okay, so here's one I have just generated, and this looks like a perfect starting point. We've got some really great images in there, and we've covered the basics of networking. I might find some bits in here that I don't really want to train my staff on, or I might find it's missed some things and I want to add some information. Not everyone is using PowerPoint and not everyone is running presentations. So this is another feature that's not going to benefit everyone. So you can see what I'm talking about. Rather than trying to force AI into your business, you need to break down the requirements of different departments and different roles and look at how it can help people. What about Microsoft Outlook? Is anyone actually using Copilot in Outlook? Again, let me know in the comments, but from clients that I've spoken to, Not many are. There's a couple of features here. You've got the ability to reply to an email and compose the message using Microsoft Copilot to help you. I don't find many people using this. A lot of people find that the language that it uses is very over the top, and it doesn't really use language that they would really use. So I haven't really found anyone that's making use of the compose feature, although I'm sure there are people that are. In terms of the summarize feature, again, limited people using that, but I have found law firms in particular are using that to summarize long email chains that have been forwarded to them. So they're just hitting the summarize button at the top. I don't use Microsoft Copilot in Outlook myself at all. So what's this big Microsoft 365 Copilot feature that everybody is using? Yes, you've guessed it, it's Microsoft Teams, but hold on. Let's talk about some of the issues with this. In order to use Copilot in a Microsoft Teams meeting, you have to transcribe the meeting. And that means everything becomes on the record. And that may be an issue for some and may not be an issue for others. But as you've probably guessed, we work with a few law firms, and a lot of law firms that we talk to, it can be an issue for them, and they have to issue really clear guidance to their staff about which meetings they should transcribe and use Copilot for. But if one of my clients calls me and says, "Hey Matt, it's urgent, I need to talk to you. I need you to shut our CEO out of all of the IT systems at 4 p.m. today. The shareholders have decided to oust him because he's useless," I probably wouldn't transcribe that because our client probably doesn't want that sort of thing on the record. So what you can do is, if you want to transcribe the meeting and use Copilot, when the meeting starts, hit the Copilot button and click turn on. And that will give everyone a pop-up to let them know that the meeting is being transcribed, even external people on the meeting, so they will know that this is happening. But as a courtesy, you could also let people know that the meeting is being transcribed, so they appreciate that everything is on the record. If we look here, we have this daily support team huddle, and not everyone can make it all of the time, and we can talk about some really important things. Anyone that can't make the meeting or who's on holiday can just click on this recap button, and they will get an AI generated summary and a list of follow-up tasks. That's not just useful for people that have missed the meeting. However, if you are in the meeting, it allows you to just focus on what is going on in the meeting rather than writing notes, because you can use the Copilot generated notes and actions at the end of the meeting. When you next meet about this or have this recurring meeting, you can also just bring up the action points from the previous meeting to make sure that you reflect on those and say, hang on, has anyone actually completed these? I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please subscribe for more content like this.